Namaskar. We will now take a closer look at the musical instruments, particularly with regard to their musical capabilities. What I mean is, when it comes to particularly Indian classical music, there are certain musical needs of the music which each instrument has to meet. We have seen earlier that the human voice is the most prime musical instrument and perhaps the most versatile too. We use our vocal cords to create the sound and we can vary the pitch at will. But beyond that, we also produce words. Words lead to language, language leads to lyric. Now, this is one ability which no other instrument can have. But beyond this one restriction which all other instruments are going to have, each instrument fares differently on different musical needs. The first such musical need is the ability to hold a note steady for a long time. This could be the sa, the pancham, the tarshadja, or any other note as required in the performance. All wind instruments, I think, can do this, like I can do on my flute. I can hold the note steady as long as my breath permits. The harmonium can do it, the shahnai can do it, saxophone can do it. So all the wind instruments can do this. When it comes to the string instruments, we've seen that even within the string instruments, there are different ways to produce the sound. In case of a violin or a sarangi, we use a bow. So as long as the bow is moving onto the string, the note remains steady. And skilled players, in fact, even when they change the direction of the bow, they can avoid the small gap and the note still remains steady even during the change of direction of the bow. When it comes to something like the sitar or the guitar, where the sound is produced by plucking a string, what happens is at the point of attack, the sound is the maximum and then it decays over some time. And this period is known as the sustain. So which means the note remains steady only as long as the sustain permits. In case of something like the santur, where the sound is produced by striking onto the string, this sustain is the minimum, and we can say that you cannot actually produce a long steady note on the instrument. Same goes with the piano. Another musical need when it comes to Indian classical music is the Meend. Now, Meend specifies the way two notes are connected. Meend is a glide from one note to another note. A very smooth glide. You keep touching practically every point in between without actually showing that note. Now, this ability again is going to depend on the instrument and the construction of it. For example, can I do it on my flute? I think we talked earlier about Raga Shri, where the Meend from Pancham to Komal Re, the Pa Re Meend, is the characteristic, it's the part of the chalan of the Raga. So whether you can do this will depend upon the construction. A harmonium is a wind instrument, but you can still not do it because you are using keys there and you jump from one note to another, and there is no way you can connect them with a smooth glide, because there the keyboard is something like a piano where this possibility doesn't exist. In case of a sitar, we have frets to denote the different swara, but then the Meend is produced by stretching the string over a fret. This is known as the khinch, and a skillful player does this beautifully. In case of a sarod, there are no frets and Meend is very freely and very nicely done. In case of a violin, again, there are no frets, so Meend is possible. In case of a santur, of course, this is not possible because you jump from one string to another string to change the pitch. We have also seen earlier that the raga demands that the musical note or the swara uses a specific point, particularly when it comes to the komal swara between two shuddha swara. And this could change depending upon the raga, meaning the komal rishabh could be closer to sa or closer to re depending upon the raga. And like a vocalist can do it, an instrument is also expected to do this. So this becomes an important musical need for a musical instrument. I can do it on my flute. You can obviously not do this on keyboard type instruments, so not possible on the harmonium. It can be beautifully done on the sitar because of the khinch. Of course, can be done on the sarod, can be done on the violin, sarangi, of course. Another requirement which is related to this is that of the andolit swara. An andolit swara is a musical note which sways between two notes. For example, the komal gandhar and the komal nishad in malhar actually, occupies the entire space between the re and the ga and the da and the ni respectively. A similar thing happens in case of rag darbari. And just again, like a vocalist is able to do it, if an instrument has to play these rags, even they have to be able to do this. One more aspect of musical needs or capabilities is the range of the instrument. We have seen earlier that a vocalist has a range of about between 2 to 3 octaves, but a minimum of at least from the Mandra Pancham or the Kharja Pancham to the Tar Pancham is required to present a raga. So each instrument, depending upon its construction, has a certain range. This may not prove to be a big restriction, but can be an advantage to some instruments, like the sarangi has a big range of about 4 octaves. So what this finally means is that each instrument is going to fare differently when it comes to meeting up with these musical needs. In certain cases, an instrument could do very well, it could even surpass the human voice, and in other cases, it could fall very short on meeting up with these needs. So what does an instrument or the player of the instrument do to cope with this? It is said that each instrument finally wants to go as near to the human voice as possible. Conversely, even the human voice stretches itself to emulate a musical instrument in some cases.